There are moments in life when we look at ourselves in the mirror and ask, how did I end up here? Why do I always feel one step behind the person I know I could be? It's a question that visits us quietly, often when the noise of the world fades. Maybe at night, when the kids are asleep. Maybe when the TV is off and it's just you and your thoughts. And that's when something inside begins to stir. I need to change. I need a new direction. But where do you even begin? That's where the simple yet profound idea of this book comes in. Atomic Habits by James Clear. It's not a quick-fix motivational manual. It doesn't scream catchy slogans or offer gym-style advice. No, it's a quiet guide. Powerful, grounded, honest, and it tells you something most people don't want to hear. You don't change your life with one heroic act. You change it with tiny, consistent, almost invisible actions. Clear calls them atomic habits. And it's a brilliant metaphor. An atom is the smallest thing there is, yet inside it lies immense potential. Nuclear energy, the power of the stars. It all begins with something tiny. And so it is with habits. We like to imagine change as something explosive. That to become someone new, we need to quit our job, move to another city, start a radical diet, or sign up for a marathon. But the truth is, real, lasting transformation happens through the smallest actions, done every day, quietly and consistently. Imagine a plane changing its course by just 1 degree. Nobody notices at takeoff, but after 1,000 miles, it's in a completely different place. Another continent. That's what your daily actions are like. Today you read a page. Do it. Tomorrow you meditate for 5 minutes. The next day you choose a kind word instead of a sharp one. Do it. And just like that, you're charting a new path. Nobody sees it, but the direction has changed. And here's the hardest part. At first you won't see results. You wake up early for a week, and you still feel tired. You eat healthy for 3 days, and the scale doesn't move. Gras-mi. You write in your journal, but the confusion is still there. That's when most people give up. Because we've been trained to believe that change has to be quick. But in truth, change is like watching ice melt. Picture a glass of ice in a cold room. The temperature rises. 26 degrees, 27, 28, still nothing. 29, 30, 31. Then at 32 degrees, boom, the ice begins to melt. It wasn't the last degree that made the difference. It was everything before it. All the invisible heat that built up in silence. That's how change really works. Results come late, but if you're faithful to the process, if you trust the journey, they come like a harvest after a long season of hidden growth. Clear also tells us, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. How many of us have made New Year's resolutions? Lose weight. Read more. Stop procrastinating. But February rolls around, and we're back where we started. Not because we don't want to change, but because we never built systems to support that change. A system is a routine, a structure that holds you up when motivation runs out. Because let's be honest, motivation is like sunlight. It doesn't shine every day. But a system? That's like solid ground. You can walk on it, even when the sky is gray. So the message of this first part is simple but powerful. Don't chase revolution. Chase repetition. You don't need to change everything. You just need to change your direction, even by 1 degree. And then, keep going, because every action you take is a vote for the kind of person you want to become. Every time you choose to read instead of scroll. Every time you get up without hitting snooze. Every time you bite your tongue instead of escalating the argument. You're casting a vote for your better self. And yes, it won't always be easy. There will be hard days. But if your process is solid, if your habits are small and well-rooted, you'll always have something to hold on to, a direction, a rhythm. So today, while you listen to these words, take a moment. Don't ask yourself what you want to achieve. Ask yourself, who do I want to become? And then ask, what's the smallest action I can take today to become that person? Do it. Repeat it tomorrow. And again the next day. That's the heart of atomic habits. And that is also the heart of real transformation. There's a big trap in the world of personal growth. One of those that make you feel motivated for a few days and then leave you exactly where you started. It's the trap of goals. Yes, you heard that right. I'm not saying goals are useless, but I am saying this: goals alone don't change who you are. How many times have you said, I want to lose 10 pounds, or I want to read 50 books, or I want to quit smoking? You wrote the goal on a piece of paper, maybe taped it to the fridge. You downloaded an app, bought a fancy planner. You kept it up for 2 weeks. And then life started speaking its usual language again. Commitments, fatigue, stress, and that goal? Just another promise left behind. See, the problem isn't your willpower. The problem is you were trying to change your results, but you weren't changing your identity. James Clear offers us a truth that's powerful, simple, and uncomfortable. Real change isn't behavioral. It's identity-based. Ninchis. If you want lasting transformation, you shouldn't only ask, what do I want to achieve? You need to ask, who do I want to become? Let's take the example of smoking. 2 people are trying to quit. Both are offered a cigarette. The first one says, no thanks, I'm trying to quit. The second one says, no thanks, I don't smoke. The difference seems small, but it's huge. The first person still sees themselves as a smoker, trying to act differently. The second has already become someone new, and they're acting accordingly. You always behave in alignment with the way you see yourself. Baledgerlu. Always. It's a deep instinct. Baledgerlu. So if you want to change your life, don't start with what you do. Baledgerlu. Start with what you believe about who you are. If you see yourself as someone who hates working out, putting on your running shoes will always be a battle. But if you start to see yourself as a healthy person, then even small choices, drinking more water, taking a walk, picking an apple instead of dessert, become natural. You're not forcing a behavior anymore. You're acting in line with your identity. Now someone might say, but I can't just decide to be a new person overnight. True, you can't declare it with words, but you can build it with actions. Every time you choose an action that matches the identity you want to build, you're laying a brick in that new version of you. Want to be a writer? Write every day, even just 1 sentence. Want to be a spiritual person? Meditate for 5 minutes, even if your mind is restless. Want to be a more present father? Turn off your phone for 30 minutes and look your child in the eyes. You don't need a sacred ritual. You just need a small, repeated choice. Because every action is evidence of who you are becoming. Here's the real difference between living for goals and living from identity. Goals are temporary. Once achieved, they disappear. Identity is lasting. It evolves with you. A goal says, I want to read 20 books. An identity says, I'm someone who reads every day. The first has an end. The second has momentum. And the best part? When you live this way, the results still come, often even better. But you're no longer dependent on the outcome, because you're no longer chasing something. You're embodying something, and that frees you from a great fear, the fear of failure. Because if you live from identity, you can't really fail. Scenes, even if you miss a day, it's not over. Krishix. Because you already are that person, and that person starts again. And if you're asking, how do I begin this shift? The answer is simpler than you think. Start with 1 gesture, just 1, and then repeat it. You don't need a master plan. You need a new way of seeing yourself. Look at your day and ask, is this action in alignment with the person I want to become? If the answer is no, don't judge yourself. Just adjust. Come back to yourself. Come back home. Because at the end of the day, you are not who you say you want to be. You are who you show yourself to be through your choices. And every day, with love and patience, you can cast a vote for your best self. You don't need a revolution, just faithfulness. Just saying, day after day, I am that person, and then living like it's already true. Have you ever felt like you're living some days on autopilot? You wake up, drink your coffee, turn on your phone, check your emails, and before you even realize it, the day has already taken a shape you didn't really choose. It's as if something inside you already knows what to do, without you even thinking about it. And do you know why that happens? Because most of our daily actions are habits. Behaviors repeated so many times that they've become automatic. And James Clear, in his book Atomic Habits, shows us that every habit follows a precise structure. It's not chaos. It's a cycle, a repetitive mechanism, like a dance. And that dance has 4 essential steps: cue, craving, response, and reward. Once you understand this cycle, you start to realize that every habit, good or bad, started this way. And if you want to change a habit, you don't need to fight harder. You need to work on these 4 elements. Not willpower, not motivation, but the inner structure of behavior. Let's start with the first step, the cue. It's the moment something around you or inside you invites you to act. It could be an object, a situation, a thought, an emotion. You see your phone on the table and feel the urge to check it. You feel bored and think about opening the fridge. Every habit begins with a cue. And the most powerful thing? You often don't even notice it. It's quiet, but it's in control. Next comes the craving. You're not just reacting to a cue. You're looking for a change in state. You want to feel different, less bored, more stimulated, less alone, more in control, a less of V. Every habit starts with an inner need, not just an action. And if you can understand the craving behind your action, you start to gain power over it. Then comes the response, the actual action. It's what you do. You turn on the TV, you make a sandwich, you meditate for 5 minutes, you send a message out of anger. It's the behavior you choose to satisfy the craving. Finally, there's the reward. It's the reason you do it again. Every habit exists because, in some way, it works. It gives you something: pleasure, relief, distraction, security, even the bad habits, even the ones that are slowly hurting you. That's why it's not enough to just stop. You have to find a new reward that's deeper, more true. That's why James Clear builds the 4 laws of behavior change around this very cycle. Each law maps directly to a part of it. It's like a blueprint for changing your brain and behavior from the inside out. The first law: make the cue obvious. The second law: make the craving attractive. The third law: make the response easy. The fourth law: make the reward satisfying. And if you want to break a bad habit, you simply reverse these laws. Make the cue invisible. Make the craving unattractive. Make the response difficult. Make the reward unsatisfying. Now I invite you to reflect. What behavior in your life is pulling you away from the person you want to be? Maybe it's checking your phone every 5 minutes. Maybe it's that glass of wine every evening that's become automatic. Sin and vice. Don't judge yourself. 151. Don't feel guilty. Just observe the cycle. What's the cue? Is it stress? Boredom? Silence? What's the craving? Distraction? Comfort? Escaping pain? What's the response? Mindless scrolling? Food? Isolation? And what's the reward? A moment of peace? Disconnection? Numbness? Easier? Now look at that cycle like it's a doorway. You've walked through it for years without thinking. But now, you can pause. You can choose. You can build a new cycle, something simple. When you feel stress, breathe 3 times instead of grabbing your phone. When you feel bored, write 2 sentences in a notebook. When you feel the need to escape, drink a glass of water and sit quietly for 1 minute. I'm not saying it will be easy, but it will be possible. Because when you respect the process, when you work with your brain's rhythm, not against it, you're not fighting yourself anymore. You're reprogramming. You're realigning. Many people fail because they try to resist the cycle with force. But willpower runs out. The cycle keeps going. Wisdom is in learning the dance, not blocking it. Watch it, understand it, and then gently guide the rhythm toward a new melody. In the end, every lasting change begins with awareness. And if you can see the cycle, you can rewrite it. Walk ill, and if you can rewrite the cycle, you can rewrite your life. One habit at a time. Sometimes in life, it feels like we're fighting invisible enemies. We want to change. We want to grow. But something holds us back. And we can't quite figure out what it is. One full log. It's like trying to swim upstream with your hands tied. You're struggling, pushing, but you're not moving. James Clear invites us to look at a simple truth, one we often overlook. You can't change what you can't see. The first step to transforming your habits isn't trying harder. It's bringing the hidden things into the light. That's why the first law of behavior change is, make the habit obvious. Think about it. Habits don't begin with willpower. They begin with a cue, something that tells you, hey, it's time to do this. But if that cue lives in the shadows, in the silence of the subconscious, you'll keep walking the same old paths, without even realizing it. You wake up and reach for your phone. Mossy too. You didn't decide to do it. Mossy too. It just happened. Mossy too. You pass a cafe and suddenly have a pastry in your hand. You didn't choose that either. It was your environment choosing for you. So the real question becomes, who's actually making the decisions in your life? You? Or your surroundings? James Clear offers us a powerful key. Your environment is the invisible engine behind your habits. The way your home is arranged, the objects you see every day, the people around you, all of it shapes your behavior, quietly but powerfully. Want to change your habits? Change what you see. For example, want to read more? Put a book on your pillow so you see it every night before bed. Want to eat healthier? Keep fruit on the table, not hidden in a drawer. Want to drink more water? Keep a bottle in plain sight. You're not working on motivation. You're making the choice easier. You're placing the habit in your line of sight, where you can't ignore it. And this works for bad habits too. Often, we don't fail to quit because we're weak. We fail because we're surrounded by cues that pull us in relentlessly. The TV that turns on as soon as you get home. The pack of cookies that's always visible. The phone on your nightstand. All of these things speak to your subconscious, even when you're not listening. So what's the solution? Make the cues for your bad habits invisible, and make the cues for your good habits impossible to miss. And no, you don't need to redesign your entire house. Just small, strategic changes, because the brain is lazy. It doesn't follow what's right. It follows what's easy to notice. James Clear also suggests a practical tool, the habit scorecard. Grab a pen and paper. Write down everything you do in a typical day from the moment you wake up. Make a simple chronological list. Then look at each item and ask, does this habit bring me closer to or farther from the person I want to become? No judgment, just awareness. Because awareness is already half of the transformation. As long as a habit stays in the dark, it holds power over you. But once you shine a light on it, you begin to choose. See, the mind is like a garden. If you're not aware of what's growing, the weeds take over. But if you start to see, then you can remove, prune, and plant something new. And when you build an environment where good habits are front and center, you don't have to force them. The context does the work for you. Here's a little spiritual secret. The soul loves order. It loves clarity. It loves light. When you bring your habits into the light, you're not just changing behavior. Klisi, you're releasing energy. Releasing energy. Energy that was once trapped in automatic reactions now returns to your hands. And you'll realize you're not undisciplined. You're not lazy. You've simply been guided by hidden cues, chaotic surroundings, and automatic patterns you'd never really seen. Now, you can see them. Now, you can make space. So today, do something simple. Observe your surroundings. What do you see when you wake up? What's on your table? On your nightstand? In your fridge? These objects are speaking to your brain. They're telling you what to do. Then ask yourself, do I really want them to decide for me? Or do I want to be the one, with intention and wisdom, to arrange my world in a way that leads me toward the best version of myself? A good habit always begins in visibility, in light, and when you choose to make what matters visible, you've already started walking toward change, one step at a time, but always in the right direction. There are days when we tell ourselves, I should do it, I should eat better, I should work out, I should meditate, and yet we don't. Not because we don't know what's right, but because deep down, it doesn't attract us. So we need to ask a more honest question. Why are bad habits so tempting, and good ones often feel so boring? James Clear explains something fundamental. Your mind isn't designed to choose what's right. It's designed to choose what's desirable, what pulls you in. The brain is always looking for pleasure, relief, immediate gratification, and many of the habits that harm us, they speak this language perfectly. The language of instant desire. Eating a snack gives you pleasure right now. Scrolling social media distracts you right now. Lighting a cigarette calms you right now. That's why those habits win so easily. Because they're attractive. Now, if you really want to change, you can't rely on logic alone. It's not enough to say, I know this is good for me. The truth is, good habits have to become attractive. They need something that makes them shine, that makes you actually want to do them. And no, that doesn't mean lying to yourself. It means changing how you present them to your brain. There's a powerful tool James Clear suggests. Temptation bundling. In simple terms, pair something you need to do with something you already enjoy. You hate going to the gym, only allow yourself to listen to your favorite podcast while you work out. Want to read more but struggle to start? Light a scented candle every time you open your book. Create a space you love. Want to keep a journal? Do it with your favorite drink beside you, in a quiet, cozy corner. You're not just forming a habit. You're creating an experience. You're telling your brain, this moment isn't just good for me, it's enjoyable. Another spiritually rich tool? Visualizing the benefit. Don't focus on the effort to start. Focus on how you'll feel after. Don't think about the boredom of the act. Think about the peace that comes afterward. Skjolazing to forfart. Gaudem of the act to days. When you get up early to meditate, imagine the calm you'll carry through the day. When you choose healthy food, picture how light and present you'll feel that afternoon. The mind falls in love with whatever it anticipates as pleasure, and you can lead it in that direction. Then there's something even deeper. The desire to belong. One of the most powerful human needs is to feel part of something. To be accepted. To be seen. To feel connected. To belong. And behavior almost always bends in the direction of that need. If you're around people who eat well, you'll soon eat well too. Let's boy, eh? If you're around people who read, meditate, care for their minds and bodies, it will start to feel natural for you too. Not because anyone's forcing you, but because habits are contagious. James Clear puts it beautifully. Surround yourself with people who are already who you want to become. Not to imitate them, but to absorb from them. Because the culture of your environment shapes you deeply. So if you want good habits to feel more attractive, seek out environments that honor them. Reading groups. People who take daily walks. Friends who talk about growth instead of complaints. When good behavior becomes normal in your world, your brain stops seeing it as effort. It sees it as a way to belong. to be part of something bigger. And let me tell you something no one may have told you before. If good habits feel like a burden to you, you're not broken. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just that the way you've met those habits until now has been cold, forced, isolated. But good habits, when done with love, beauty, and connection, can become a source of joy. So ask yourself, how can I make this habit more attractive to me? How can I turn it into a moment of pleasure, not just obligation? How can I shape it into a ritual that nourishes me? You don't need to go overboard. You don't need to force anything. Just one gesture, one detail, one feeling. Treat that habit not as a punishment, but as a gift you give yourself. Desire is not the enemy. It's just been misdirected. You can reclaim the steering wheel and guide it toward habits that don't just do you good, but that, in time, you'll truly come to love. You know, there's this voice inside us that says change must come through struggle. That anything truly worthwhile requires effort, discipline, even pain. It's as if transformation is a mountain to climb, barehanded. But the truth, one that few are willing to say, is this. Real transformation doesn't come from force. It comes from simplicity. At the heart of his method, James Clear teaches us a foundational principle. If you want a habit to last, you have to make it easy. And yes, I know what you might be thinking, but isn't that too simple? Aren't important things supposed to be hard? Well, yes and no. Here's the distinction. The hard part isn't starting a habit. The hard part is keeping it. And to keep it, it has to be light. It has to be able to flow. Imagine you want to start running. If you force yourself to run 5 kilometers on day 1, you'll likely fail. Duh. Your body will resist. Duh. Your mind will start to bargain. And soon enough, you'll fall back into your old ways. But what if you said, today I'll just put on my shoes and walk around the block? That's different. That's doable. That's almost impossible to say no to. This is the power of the 2-minute rule. A simple, almost silly principle, but incredibly effective. Every new habit should start with a version that takes less than 2 minutes to do. Want to read more? Read 1 page. Want to write? Write a single sentence. Want to meditate? Sit in silence for just 2 minutes. Want to work out? Do 1 push-up. It's not the act itself that matters. It's the psychological victory of starting. Because once you start, you often keep going. And even if you don't, that's okay. Because you've built something valuable. A sequence. A small, non-threatening ritual. Our brain loves simplicity. A cake resists complexity. A cake resists complexity. If every time you think of a new habit it feels like a massive effort, your mind will find 100 excuses to avoid it. But if it feels quick, easy, painless, the door stays open. And over time, that door leads to deep transformation. Here's another powerful truth. Habits are not built on motivation. They're built on repetition. It's consistency, not intensity, that shapes identity. A small, easy gesture, repeated every day, has more impact than a big, heroic effort done once and abandoned. So the secret isn't to do a lot. The secret is to do it often, every day, even if it's tiny, even when you don't feel like it, even when you're tired, because strength isn't in the size of the gesture, it's in its continuity. A river carves stone not because it's powerful, but because it never stops flowing. And there's a spiritually deep idea behind all of this. Making things easy is not a weakness. Knowing, it's an act of compassion toward yourself. Monbilbilily, if you truly want to care for yourself, then create favorable conditions. Monbilla weakens. Build bridges, not obstacles. Make the right choice the easiest one. This applies to your environment too. Want to eat healthier? Don't keep junk food in the house. Want to meditate? Leave your mat already laid out. Want to read? Keep your book open on the desk. Remove friction. Reduce decisions. Automate access to your better self. Because every small obstacle is a potential no, and every small support is a potential yes. The sum of those yeses builds a new life. There's another powerful idea James Clear shares. Habits get easier because they get familiar. When something's no longer new, it doesn't take mental effort. You stop thinking, you just do it. It's like driving, complicated at first, but natural over time. Habits work the same way, but only if you get there one small step at a time. So today, don't aim for the perfect action. Look for the simplest action you can repeat with consistency. Don't worry about how long it'll take. Just worry about not stopping, because change doesn't happen in a single day. It happens every day. When you choose ease over struggle, consistency over heroics, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present. And to start, always. There's an ancient law written into the mind and body. We repeat what feels good. It's something we learn as children. When you smile and your parents smile back, you learn that smiling brings joy. You view their sambai when you do something that feels good. Your brain takes note and says, "You guys, let's do that again." You guys. And that's where James Clear's fourth law of behavior change comes in. If you want a habit to stick, it has to be satisfying. It's not about logic. It's about feeling. The brain doesn't work through reasoning. It works through reward. It doesn't care if a habit is right or useful. It only cares if it felt good right after you did it. And that's why bad habits are so hard to break. They give immediate gratification. A cigarette calms you right away. Sugar gives you a boost on the spot. Scrolling social media distracts you in seconds. The benefit shows up before the damage, and that makes them powerful. Good habits, on the other hand, often do the opposite. You go for a run and feel tired. You meditate and your mind wanders. You eat clean and nothing changes for days. So the brain says, what's the point? If we want good habits to stay, we have to reverse that dynamic. We have to find ways to tie immediate satisfaction to actions that naturally give long-term benefits. How do we do that? There are a few simple but profound ways. First, celebrate. Yes, celebrate. Even the smallest actions. Did you walk for 10 minutes? Say to yourself, genuinely, well done. Did you read 2 pages? Smile. Did you choose water over soda? Pause and appreciate that choice. You don't need the world to reward you. You become the keeper of your inner reward system. When you celebrate, when you recognize the action, you send a clear message to your brain. This matters. This feels good. Let's do it again. If you want a practical tool to support this, James Clear recommends using a habit tracker. A journal, a calendar, a simple grid on paper. Each day you complete the habit, mark an X. One small mark, one piece of proof. Day after day, that line of X's becomes a chain, and the chain becomes motivation. Because the brain loves visible progress, a line of completed days becomes a powerful symbol. It tells you, look, you're doing it. Look, you're becoming that person. And the simple desire not to break that chain becomes a new kind of fuel. Of course, you'll miss a day sometimes, because life happens. But remember the golden rule. Never miss 2 days in a row. Missing once is human. Missing twice is the start of regression. Get back on track right away. The size of the action doesn't matter. What matters is that you protect your trust in yourself. There's another path to satisfaction. Connecting the habit to your deepest values. When the action reflects the kind of person you want to be, it feels rewarding even if no one sees it. You write every day? Good, because you're a creative person, and this confirms that identity. You eat healthy? Not for the scale, but because you're someone who honors the body as a temple. The greatest satisfaction doesn't come from the outside. It comes from knowing that, at least for today, you are faithful to who you want to become. And if you want to deepen that feeling, share your progress with someone who supports you. A friend, a family member, a community online, not a line. Habits done with connection and encouragement become even stronger, because human beings are wired to walk the path together. In the end, every habit is a seed, and every seed needs 3 things: light, water, and recognition. If you nourish it, if you watch it grow, if you honor it, it will grow strong, and one day it will bear fruit. Not immediately, but certainly. So today, don't just try to do the right thing. Try to make it beautiful, enjoyable, acknowledged. Find a way to smile after doing it, even if only for a moment, because that smile sends a signal to your brain. This is worth repeating. And if you repeat it long enough, it won't be something you have to do. It will simply be who you are. There are habits that give us a moment of relief, but leave us empty over time. You know them well, those actions you take almost without thinking, but afterward, you're left with that bitter feeling. Why do I keep doing this when I know it's hurting me? You're not alone. Every one of us has parts of our life where we feel stuck. When we repeat gestures, choices, behaviors that don't reflect our true heart. Why? And even with awareness, something keeps pulling us back there. So the real question isn't, what's wrong with me? The real question is, how can I gently, wisely, and patiently undo this knot? James Clear offers us a path. In earlier parts, we learned how to build good habits. Now we learn the reverse. How to disarm the ones that hold us back. And the key is just that. Disarm, not fight, not repress. Make what is now easy, hard. Make what is now automatic, invisible. Remember the 4 laws for building good habits? Make the cue obvious. Make it attractive. Make it easy. Make it satisfying. To break a bad habit, we simply invert them. Make the cue invisible. Make it unattractive. Make it difficult. Make it unsatisfying. Let's start with the first. Make the cue invisible. Every bad habit begins with a trigger. It could be an object, like your phone next to your bed. A situation, like that mid-afternoon boredom. Or a person, someone who brings out your stress. The first thing you can do is change what you see. Put the cigarette pack out of sight. Uninstall the app that drains your time. Avoid certain environments, at least for a while, because your willpower will never be stronger than a cue that's constantly calling your name. Second, make the behavior unattractive. This requires deep reflection. Don't just say, "It's bad." Go deeper. Ask yourself, how is this habit taking me away from the person I want to become? Visualize the real consequences. Feel them. Write them down. There's power in disillusionment. When you stop romanticizing a bad habit, you begin to see it for what it is, a golden cage, a promise that never delivers. Third, make the action difficult. If you always open social media when anxious, add steps, log out, delete the app from your home screen. If food is your emotional crutch, don't keep it around. Having to get up and go get it is already a barrier. Difficulty slows the automatic response. It gives you 1 second to choose. And often, that's all you need. Lastly, make the reward unsatisfying. Many bad habits survive because they seem to give us something. But if you start to really see that they don't make you feel better, that the relief is brief and leaves a deeper emptiness, the habit starts to lose its grip. Here's a powerful practice. Every time you do that thing you're trying to stop, Write down how you feel right after. Be honest. You might realize it wasn't satisfying at all, that it left you more anxious, more tired, more disconnected. That awareness, over time, erodes the power of the habit. Now, don't expect miracles in a week. Bad habits often have deep roots. They were born to protect you, to manage pain, to fill a void. So treat them with respect, not hatred. See your bad habit as an old companion, one who helped you survive a difficult chapter, but who you no longer need, and let them go. Gently, firmly, with gratitude. And remember this: you don't eliminate a habit, you replace it. Every time you take something out, you must put something else in, an alternative, a gesture that gives you a different but genuine reward. Need distraction? Walk. Breathe. Call a friend. Need comfort? Write. Drink tea. Take care of something small. Don't repress the impulse. Redirect it. And when you slip, because you will, don't say, "I'm back at square one." Say instead, "I'm learning to choose better." Every stumble is a chance to deepen your awareness. You're not fighting yourself. You're freeing parts of you that were trapped in patterns too tight. And in that process, though slow, you rediscover your freedom. You know, we live in a world obsessed with speed. Everything has to be instant. The answer, the result, the transformation. And yet, the truest things in life do not grow fast. A tree, a friendship, a family, a strong character. All of these require time. Roots, repetition, faithfulness. In Atomic Habits, James Clear invites us to shift our focus, to stop thinking in terms of days or weeks, and begin thinking in terms of years, of identity, of trajectory. Because the real power of a habit is not measured by immediate results, but by the kind of person you're becoming over time. He calls it the power of 1% improvement. And when you first hear it, it sounds small, insignificant even. But 1% each day is not a small shift. It's a slow explosion, invisible at first, but unstoppable in the long run. Imagine a line moving upward on a chart. If it improves by just 1% each day, by the end of the year it has grown more than 37 times. Not by magic, not by motivation, but by compound effect. And the compound effect is like a law of nature. Mannequin Berkshire. It's what grows seeds, smooths rocks, and carves mountains. Mannequin Berkshire. It's quiet. Mannequin Berkshire. It's constant. Mannequin Berkshire. It's unstoppable. And it works on you too. Every small action you repeat, every day you stay faithful to your values, is a drop wearing away at the stone of time. And if today you don't see results, don't get discouraged. This isn't the season of harvest, it's the season of planting. We all crave visible results. We want confirmation we're on the right path. But the truth is, real growth happens beneath the surface, like bamboo, which doesn't grow above ground for years, because it's building a deep root system, and then suddenly, in a few short weeks, it shoots up toward the sky. You are doing the same, and you will succeed, if you stay consistent. Here's something else. James Clear highlights, every habit you practice is not just a task, it's a statement of identity. When you wake up early to exercise, you're not just working on your body, you're saying, "I'm someone who takes care of myself." When you read every day, you're saying, "I'm a curious, growing mind." When you listen without interrupting, you're saying, "I'm present, I'm patient, I'm loving." And day by day, those statements become true, not because you declared them, but because you lived them. Consistency builds identity, and identity builds trust, and trust fuels everything else. Because once you begin to trust yourself, truly, You no longer need motivation. You just need memory. The memory of who you've already become. And so, even on the hard days, you'll be able to say, yes, today is tough, but I'm still standing, because this is who I am now. That is the real strength of habit. It reshapes how you see yourself. You're no longer fighting against yourself. You're in dialogue, in partnership, in alignment. And even if the world around you shifts, your job, your relationships, your life's seasons, your habits will give you a compass, a direction, a center. So today, as you sit with all of this, don't ask, how much am I improving? Ask, am I headed in the right direction? Because when your direction is right, it doesn't matter how slow your pace, you'll get there. And on the day when you finally harvest the fruit, and that day will come, you'll realize that the sweetest part isn't even the result. It's that you are no longer the same person. You've become someone you trust, someone you're proud of, someone who walked the path, even when no one was watching, even when nothing seemed to change, and that no one can ever take away from you. Sometimes we think that willpower is everything, that if we really want to change, we just have to grit our teeth and push through. But there's a deeper truth, one that's often overlooked. You don't win by force. You win by design. James Clear puts it simply, you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. And systems begin with your environment. Look around your life, where you live, where you work, who you spend time with. Every space, every object, every relationship, they're shaping you, constantly, silently, without asking for permission. A fridge full of processed food pushes you toward convenience, not health. A phone next to your bed whispers, just one more scroll before sleep. But a chair by the window, with a book resting on it, that's an invitation to pause, to read, to breathe. Your environment isn't neutral. It's a force. So the real question becomes, are you using that force to support you or to sabotage you? Changing your habits starts with changing your space. Not by adding pressure, but by removing friction. Make the path to your desired behavior the easiest path available. Want to work out in the morning? Lay out your clothes the night before where you'll see them. Want to meditate? Keep your cushion visible and ready in a corner of the room. Want to eat better? Buy only what aligns with your goals. Prep your meals with intention. Every small adjustment in your space is a message to your brain, a signal, a subtle compass pointing in the right direction. But it doesn't stop there. Beyond the environment, you need a system. A good habit on its own is fragile, but when it becomes part of a system, a routine, a rhythm, a ritual, it gains strength. It becomes part of you, like your heartbeat. Think about the difference between a goal and a system. A goal says, I want to lose 10 pounds. A system says, I walk 30 minutes every morning, and I shop with a healthy list. The goal is something you reach. The system is something you live. Living a good system means being in alignment with who you want to become. James Clear reminds us, systems are stronger than motivation, because systems don't depend on your mood. They're there when you're tired. They're there when the day falls apart. They're built to keep you going, even when your energy is low. And then, there's one more element, one that's often forgotten, but deeply powerful. Accountability. We are social beings. We don't live in a vacuum. And when we know someone is watching, supporting, walking with us, we grow stronger. Not out of fear, but out of love for consistency. A friend to share your journey with, a journal to log your efforts each night, a spoken promise to someone you trust. These small acts create a framework, a container, a subtle strength that comes from outside to support what's trying to grow inside. You don't need a perfect system, just something simple, repeatable, Write a single sentence each night about how you showed up today. Text a friend, "I did it again today." Light a candle each morning before you sit in silence. Tiny rituals, small affirmations, gentle reminders that you're still walking, you're still choosing, because that's the real point. Not to arrive, but to continue. Not to transform your life in 1 week, but to become the kind of person who doesn't stop showing up. And when systems, environments, and accountability work together, change becomes inevitable. Not because it's forced, but because it's natural, rooted, sustained. You are not made of willpower alone. You are made of habits, spaces, relationships, rituals, and you can design all of it. You can stop fighting yourself and start cooperating with your life. And that is the beginning of true freedom. Now that we've come this far, you might think Atomic Habits is a book about doing more, achieving more, being more productive. But if you've truly been listening, really listening, you've understood something deeper. This book isn't just about efficiency. It's about inner transformation. It's about freedom. James Clear takes us on a journey that starts with a simple idea: improve your habits. But step by step, he leads us towards something much greater. Habits are not just what you do. They are who you become. And the final message, the one that stays with you after you close the book, after the lights go out, is this: you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. You don't become a different person on the day you achieve something big. You become different on the day you stop looking for shortcuts, and you choose a slower path, one of quiet, steady, honest effort. Because each day, each act, each small choice is a vote for the future version of yourself. And the world doesn't change when you do something extraordinary. The world changes when you become someone who is steady, trustworthy, intentional. Too often we're told we have to change everything. Our career, our body, our relationships. But James Clear teaches us something far more merciful. You don't need to change everything. You just need to change direction, even by 1 single degree. And then, stay with it. Each time you choose discipline over distraction, each time you do the right thing, even when no one sees, each time you stay faithful to your decision, even when it costs you, you are shaping your identity. You are saying, "This is the kind of person I want to be." And I'm proving it. Change doesn't come from a sudden burst of enlightenment. It comes from daily alignment, from deep respect for your smallest actions, from the humility to begin again every single morning. And that's what makes Atomic Habits so powerful. They're small enough not to intimidate you, but big enough to transform you forever. And you know what? It doesn't matter where you are right now. It doesn't matter how many times you've failed, or how far you feel from your best self. Because today, right now, you can do just one small thing that moves you closer. A walk, a mindful breath, a glass of water, a page read, a kind choice. And then, do it again tomorrow, and again the next day. Because change isn't an explosion. It's a construction. And you are both the architect and the brick. You are both the decision and the devotion. The real message of James Clear isn't just about how to change your life. It's about how to become the kind of person who never stops choosing well, with simplicity, with grace, with consistency. Just one small step, each day, in the right direction, and everything will change.